The horn of the Crow Legion pierced the dawn silence in the city of Adne Hall, just like a sharp blade cuts through soft, melting skin. This wasn't just a simple warning, it was a formal announcement that death had arrived on black horses. The soldiers spread through the narrow streets like locusts. There were no introductions, no words. The doors felt as if they were being ripped off by the sheer sound of the troops. People were emerging from their homes still in their pajamas, and in moments, the copper square was filled with hundreds of humans. Their faces were pale from terror and cold. The sound of children crying was the only melody breaking the silence of the emperor's soldiers, who stood like iron statues in the center of the square. General Vargas stood atop a high wooden platform. His black armor shimmered with a dismal, oily glint. He carried the great prosteel sword, over 1.5 meters long. He struck the platform with his blade, a blow that made the people jump, and screamed in a hoarse voice, as if stones were grinding together in his throat. By order of Emperor Sigmund, who wishes for his life to last 1 minute longer, listen to what I say. The Black Mountain needs a jailer for the one dwelling at the summit. This mission isn't for just anyone, no. It's for someone who has sold their soul to the devil, someone with a heart of stone who knows no fear. Whoever goes will live like a king. They will receive 10 bars of pure gold. All this for just 1 year spent as a jailer there. The people began to retreat as if the Black Mountain were standing right before them. Everyone knew that mountain was the graveyard of the living. The rocks there move and the wind drives minds to madness. Amidst the killing silence, I slowly raised my hand. I am Aryan, the man who spent his life carrying mind stones until his back bent, yet his heart remained solid. The crowd cleared a path for me. Their gaze was a mix of pity and shock, as if they were befaring a man walking to his own hanging. I approached the platform, locking eyes with Vargas, and said, "I am your jailer, General. But that gold you mentioned isn't enough for a man going to hand his soul to the angel of death. I won't move from here for less than 20 bars of pure gold. 10 now and 10 when I return, if the mountain lets me return, that is." Vargas laughed a cold laugh that shook his armor and tossed a heavy cloth bag that landed at my feet with the enchanting ring of gold. He said, "Greedy, and that's exactly what's required for the Black Mountain. Take the gold and tomorrow at dawn, wait for me at the Serpent's Path, because the mountain doesn't like those who are late." I returned to my hut, the gold in my hand feeling heavy like a burning coal. I entered the room that smelled of tuberculosis, dampness, and an endless ache. Lara, the light of my life that had dimmed, was lying on the bed. Her face, which once shone with soul-restoring vibrancy, had become pale and thin, to the point where her facial bones appeared as if carved from wax. Literally, the consumption was eating her. Every breath she took came out with a rattling sound that tore my heart into 100 pieces. I sat beside her and took her hand, which was hot with fever. She opened eyes the color of a clear sky and looked at me with a weakness that could crush mountains, saying, "Aryan, what exactly is the price of this gold?" Her voice barely came out, exhausted and hoarse. I said, swallowing hard and trying to smile for her, "I've brought you healing, Lara. Tomorrow the healer will come with the most expensive medicines. You'll eat the best food and walk in the light again. I've got a job for the Emperor. I'll be gone for a bit, then I'll return with the rest." Lara wept silently, tears washing her pale face. "You mean the Black Mountain, Aryan? Again you sold your soul to monsters for the sake of a corpse preparing for the grave? I'd rather die with you beside me than live knowing you're burning in the fires of the summit." I wiped her tears and spoke firmly despite the pain. "You are not a corpse, my love. You are my life. That mountain is just stone. I'll go and come back quickly. This gold is safe with our neighbor. He'll spend it on you daily." I spent the night beside her, holding her hand and telling her of our old dreams until dawn began to crack. At that moment, I kissed her forehead while she slept and walked out, feeling my soul being pulled from my body with every step away from home. The road to the Black Mountain wasn't just a walk, it was concentrated torture testing human endurance. The rocks were black and jagged, like daggers rising from the earth to prevent anyone from nearing the secret imprisoned above. The air grew so cold that my breath came out like smoke from a fire. Mist swirled around us like a shroud preparing to bury us at any moment. The two soldiers with me had closed, expressionless faces. They wouldn't stop saying terrifying things to scare me more. "You know, Aryan, the jailer before you, we found him as a pile of bones at the valley floor. Not a single part was intact, as if he threw himself off in a rush to escape what he saw up there." One of them said this while laughing a chilling laugh. After 3 days of ruin, we reached Raven's Peak. This prison wasn't built, it was a terrifyingly massive void in the mountain rock sealed with iron bars. In front of it was a small wooden hut. That's where I would live. The place smelled of age, loneliness, and danger. One guard stopped me and said threateningly, "The food is in this storehouse, dried meat and bitter vegetables. Every day at sunset, place the bucket before the bars, turn your back and walk away. Don't you dare approach, and don't you dare look inside. What's in there is a danger to your mind before your body. And watch out, at night there are no wolves, it's much harder than that. At night the hidden ones come out, creatures without skin living in the cracks. If they smell your fear, they'll eat you alive." Then they left, descending at lightning speed as if the mountain were chasing them. From there, I was alone at the top of the world. Nothing but the sound of the wind whistling in the cracks, like the screams of people being tortured. The first night on the Black Mountain was a never-ending nightmare. The sun sank behind the horizon, and a heavy, terrifying darkness descended like ink over the universe. I began to hear a delicate scratching on the walls from the outside, muffled laughter and whispers calling my name in the tone of Lara's voice, saying, "Aryan, open for me. Aryan, I'm cold. The consumption is eating me out here, my love." My heart was about to break. I wanted to run and open the door, but I remembered the soldier's warning. The hidden ones mimic the voices of those we love to trap us. I kept a strong fire burning in the center of the hut, staring at the floor, blocking my ears with my hands, praying for morning. I could feel their shadows passing the cracks, long shadows without features, but with thin fingers tapping the wood with terrifying regularity. In the middle of this horror, I heard a voice from the direction of the cell, a voice unlike anything I'd ever heard. It was soft yet possessed a power that shook the rock and stirred the soul. The voice said, "Why does your heart tremble, jailer? The hidden ones only eat cowards who believe the mountain's lies." Hearing that, I froze. That was the first time I heard the prisoner's voice. I went straight to the storehouse, grabbed the meat bucket, waited for the hidden ones to move away, opened the door, and ran. I placed the bucket before the bars, trembling, then bolted back and locked the door. Weeks passed like this. The routine killed me slowly. The isolation ate my mind. I began to talk to her through the bars. I couldn't see her, but I felt her presence and the power filling the place. I told her about Lara, our poverty, and the pain of the mines. She told me of stars she saw thousands of years ago, of cities built of light and gold before darkness ruled the world. One night, I decided I must break the fear and see her true face. I lit a large torch, its flame fighting the fierce mountain wind, and approached the bars slowly. The light touched her face, and I felt time stop. My heartbeat skipped for seconds. She wasn't a monster with ugly claws as I imagined. She was human-like, but massive and majestic, standing over 2¼ meters tall. Her body was slender and graceful, muscles defined with a strength that looked carved from marble. Her skin was covered in glowing blue tattoos that breathed with her heartbeat. Her hair was silver and very long, flowing down her back like a waterfall of moonlight. And her eyes, there, horror and beauty met. Her eyes were two glowing red rubies with no white in them. Her gaze pierced my chest, seeing my soul's secrets like an open book. Seraphine was something that made you want to kneel in awe and run in desire. She said with a slight smile, "I am Seraphine, daughter of the forgotten Dusk. The Emperor imprisoned me here because I am the only power he cannot tame. He caged me to steal my light and turn it into a fire to burn lands and destroy everything beautiful." I stood mesmerized, unable to utter a single word, as if before an ancient goddess, not just a prisoner. One day, when the mist closed everything and water fell like the mountain's tears, 3 guards arrived. Their armor was heavy, their faces showing malice. They searched the camp filthily, insulting everything I touched. One, a brute named Braun with a scarred eye, shoved my chest hard, making me fall into the mud. "Where's the gold, beggar? We know you hid a bag of bars in this hut." I stood up, blood boiling from the insult. "That gold is the price of my misery and my dying wife's medicine. No one has a right to it but her." Braun laughed a foul laugh. "Your misery? You're playing with monsters, boy. This gold belongs to the Emperor, and we deserve it more than you or your corpse in the city." They began beating me. One entered the hut, flipped the bed, and found a letter Lara sent me with a dried flower. He tore it before my eyes and crushed it with his boot. At that moment, my mind snapped. I only saw Lara being insulted. I attacked Braun with all my might. He stumbled back in surprise, tripping on a rock at the cliff's edge. He grabbed my clothes to save himself, but I pushed him away with a scream of despair. He fell from the peak, his scream echoing in the valley until it cut off against the rocks below. The other 2 guards were shocked, then filled with black rage. "You killed a soldier of the Emperor, Aryan. We'll let the worms eat you alive." They drew their swords, surrounding me. I ran toward the cell. There was no other escape from the power I feared. I pulled out the emergency key the commander left, opened the gate, and slid the iron bolt behind me, panting in terror. Inside, Seraphine stood in her majestic height. Her eyes glowed with a mighty anger that shook the stone walls. She said, "Step back, Aryan. It is time for this farce to end." The guards broke the outer bars and entered, shouting insults, but when they saw her in full light, they froze like stone. The majesty and power emanating from her choked their breath. One tried to thrust his spear in despair, but Seraphine, with a motion faster than thought, grabbed and snapped it like a dry twig. With her other hand, she struck the guard's chest once. The blow sent him flying to the back of the vault. He hit the solid rock and died instantly, eyes wide with terror. The 3rd guard, seeing his comrade erased, dropped his sword and ran out screaming hysterically. He mounted a horse and vanished into the mist. I stood trembling, unable to process what happened in minutes. Seraphine looked at me, her voice shaking the mountain's foundations. "He has escaped. He will tell Emperor Sigmund, and they will come with an army of shadows to tear this mountain down upon our heads and to seek revenge on every living thing." I fell to my knees, broken, tears washing my dusty face. "What about Lara? They'll go to Lara and kill her to get to me. I've destroyed her, Seraphine." Then I said, "Please help me save my wife. I am the one who freed you. I was the jailer who loved you, not the one who wronged you." I begged her with all my strength. At that moment, Seraphine approached slowly and touched my shoulder with warm hands that emitted an unnatural heat. I felt a mighty energy surge through me, erasing my exhaustion and fear. She looked at me with red eyes that now glowed with a sudden, strange tenderness. "You have freed me from the prison of darkness, Aryan. Fear nothing. No one shall touch Lara." I took my bag and we began descending the Black Mountain amidst lightning and thunder that hailed her stolen freedom. This was the beginning of the end for all who oppressed us. The journey that began with despair and tears became a journey for freedom, written in blood and fire. our steps approached the city, hearts full of rage, souls thirsty for justice. This was part 1 of Queen Seraphine's story. If you liked it, subscribe and hit the bell. See you soon. Peace.